In today's episode, Shawn and I are going to be talking about her process and how she has been able to develop a relationship with connecting to how she's feeling and then documenting it in various ways. I absolutely loved hearing all about how Shawn has been able to give meaning to colors and supplies and have a deeper connection to the story that she's trying to tell through her creative process. I know you're going to be so inspired by this episode. So let's get into it.
Gotta get messy and show the world you growing as an artist. And you're free to be yourself. You got a dream, you need to start it. Stick together. Get messy says you're formally invited to a community where you can find people that spark the field of excitement. Too many art supplies, not enough time. No, it's tougher, so you must find a way to feel some connection. We got a lot of people with the same kind, a great mind. We here for you, a platform so we can hear your views. Time's yours, forget chores. I know you bored of them same rules.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Get Messy podcast episode. I am so excited to be talking to Shawn today, and I know that you are going to love listening to our conversation. So, Shawn, thank you so much for saying yes to joining me for this episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here and share and talk about all things creative. So I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Do you maybe want to introduce yourself to those that are listening?
Sure. I'm Shawn Petite. I have been teaching and creating for over 30 years. I was thinking about that today, too. I was like, gosh, it's been a long time. But teaching and creating, I have online workshops. I teach a membership. I have a full stencil line. Let's see, what else do? I do a little bit of everything, anything creative. I am a maker. It just doesn't matter what it is. I will try it.
Oh, I love that. I am a maker. That's just beautiful. Oh, okay. So 30 years is, as you were saying, it's quite a bit of time that you've been creating. So how has your journey developed over time?
I think so. This kind of all goes back to when we were kind of talking earlier about seasons. I think we go through seasons of creative times. So like when I first started, my kids were little, and my season of creativity then was in little tiny spurts of time that I could gather away from all of the chaos and just starting to begin to dabble into what really truly made me happy. And then once I realized what did make me happy and what I did love, and as the kids grew and life evolved and those kinds of things, I was able to devote more time and begin to dream about a vision for what would be something for me that I truly wanted to do. And then once the kids were launched and out on their own, I was able to just take the leap and do this full time. And it took a while, but that's kind of, how the evolution of creativity really, honestly, like I said, I'm a maker. I was painting from the time I was as soon as I could hold a paintbrush, and or sewing or knitting or making jewelry. It was just always some type of creative thing. But when I was able to find that place of paper and paint and scribbles and marks and those kinds of things, it was like something just, like I was set free. And so from there, it just grew and grew and grew. So that's kind of my evolution.
Yes, it's almost, it sounds like when you said that, I immediately thought of the phrase that you'd come home, like when you'd found your paper and your paints and scribbling, and
Mhm.
yeah,
I
it was your
always I
place.
always say I found my art soulmate in
Oh,
mixed media.
yes. Oh, wow. Oh, that is beautifully said.
And
Okay,
when I
yes.
first started creating, I was painting like regular paintings, but I was putting on like
Mm.
papers and writing and things like that. And I'm like, why am I doing? No, this wasn't a thing back then. And when I started doing that, I'm like, people are going to think I'm crazy because I'm painting big paintings with paper and all different kinds of things in it. And then, of course, mixed media kind of came full bloom, and
Mm.
scrapbooking and art journaling and all of those things kind of evolved into a whole nother, thing. But that was really a passion of mine way back. And I did it even though wasn't the normal thing to do. And then when it was the normal thing to do, I was like, yes.
I think there's a lot to be said about that too, though, right? Because you were following that gut instinct that this was something that you wanted to do. It felt right. It was speaking to you. And so you did it, even though, as you say, you were like thinking, people are going to think I'm a little crazy doing this. I might have gone off the beaten path here. But you were doing it before it became popular. And so it's, I think it's important for people, if they've got something saying to them, just try this or just
Mm,
go in this direction, even though others around you aren't doing it, you should maybe consider listening to that voice.
100%, absolutely. Because what it did was it brought me joy,
Mm.
and it allowed me to express and say and do things that I couldn't put a voice to. And so when I was slapping on paper or whatever it was more of an inner journey for me. And yes, it would be nice if people looked at my art and wanted to buy it and those kinds of things. But really, truly, honestly, I think for me, and I think for a lot of creatives, um, art is truly an expression of who we are
Mhm.
and where we are. Again, I go back to that season, where we are in our journey. Um, it could be bright colors because it's a great time. It could be dark colors because we're struggling or we're questioning or whatever it might be. We have the unique ability to be able to put it all out there on the canvas and let it go. And what a gift that is for us as
Mm.
artists. And whether it's on canvas
Absolutely.
or a journal page or whatever it might be, we have that opportunity to just be here in the space and be ourselves and let it all go.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes. So, process, right? The process and the reason behind creating is more important than the outcome or whether somebody likes it or not. You've got
Yes,
to do it for yourself first.
yes. And
Mm.
really, honestly, the best art that I have ever seen, you can immediately tell when it's so raw and real and somebody's just thrown paint on there because of whatever it might be that's going on, joy, grief, whatever it might
Mm.
be. It's stunning and freeing. It's so beautiful to look at when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable in that moment. It's so beautiful. A journal page or a piece of art or a piece of paper, whatever. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's like you can see a piece of that artist out in the world. It's quite
Yes.
powerful when you see art like that.
Yes, absolutely. It's just,
Mm.
it makes you take a second look. You're like looking at it like, wow, this is
Mm.
like, there's some real emotion happening here.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's fascinating that one can express that emotion and the feeling and the, whether it's a, like you were saying, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's something that you're going through currently, but the fact that you can express it through brush strokes and color and the mediums that you choose to use is actually amazing.
It is. It's a gift. It really is a gift. And I try to, like, with my students, convey that gift. Like, this is your gift. Your work doesn't have to look like mine or anybody else's. We're here together to inspire each other, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and just make a mess, whatever, a beautiful mess. Yeah.
So I would say that looking at your work and your process and how you teach, you're very calm, very calming in how you approach your art. Is that something that you strive for while you're creating?
Um, I guess so. I guess it's not something that I thought about. Most of the time as I'm teaching or creating, I'm looking for the meaning, whatever that is. The meaning in today, this moment. That's usually where any idea starts for me is, okay, what am I feeling today? Well, how do I feel in this moment? And um, I guess being calm enough to express that to students or whatever, allows them to do the same. I guess I've never really thought about myself as being calm, but you're not the first person that said that, so, um, I'm calm on the outside and maybe not on the inside. There's a lot of chaos going on inside. Um, I'm a very type A personality, so I am super planned, and I'm really working on trying to let go of some of that. My word for the 2025 is release.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good
and
one.
yes, it is, and it's scary because I
Mm,
wanna let go of some of that perfectionism. I'm constantly working on that and, letting go of constantly being planned out and allowing some space for the whatever.
mm,
And, sometimes that's hard, especially as a business owner and that kind of thing. It's difficult because you're always on a schedule, but I'm looking at letting go of some things possibly so that I have that, but yeah, I don't know. I do try to be peaceful, but I don't know. So it doesn't feel like that all the time.
It's quite interesting though too, because I think that very often when we're creating, we are trying to find the things that we'd like to bring more of in our lives. So maybe without even realizing it, you are creating calm for everyone around you and that are watching your process.
Maybe I that would be great if I was maybe I am doing that. That would be wonderful, and my
Mm,
students tell me that, I am a calming force for
mm,
them, but I guess I never really think about it. I'm always looking for calm and peace in my own life and in my own,
mm,
like, inner world, so maybe that's coming out. My husband always tells me because when I've done some talk, like public speaking or even just doing some, like, spontaneous videos and different things like that, I will walk away from the video going, "That was a disaster. I was just all over the place," and my husband's like, "No, you weren't. You were fine. You're
mm,
perfectly calm." So,
mm.
I think we're harder on ourselves than
Yes.
everyone else, so
Mm,
I think that's a wonderful
that's true.
compliment to have someone say that
Mm.
you give out kind of a peaceful vibe, so I appreciate that.
I'm interested to know, you've given us your 2025 word of the year. What was your word of the year for 2024?
Adventure.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did not do a very good job on my adventure year. I tried. I did adventure in my art, though.
Mm,
I had plans to do more adventuring, like, out of the studio, but
mm,
with my art, I did a lot of really fun things for 2024. For the first part of the year, I grabbed some books that were different artists and took some techniques from them and created from them. And then what else did I do? I did a couple other things. Oh, I actually did some like out in the wild creating.
Oh,
So
yes.
I that was kind of the extent of my adventuring last
Mm,
year. So I was hoping to do more, but I did
mm.
I did pretty well. So
Yeah.
release will be a hard one too, I think.
Yes. Yes. And maybe you could take that sense of adventure forward with you as you work on release.
Yes, I was thinking that exact same thing. I'm like, that's kind of like an under layer of that release is
Yeah.
like releasing some things so that I can have more
Mhm.
adventure. So, yeah.
I love that. That is beautiful. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. So, bit, a little bit further back in the conversation, you sort of just brushed over checking in how you feeling every day and feeling in
Mhm,
the moment.
mhm,
I'm pretty sure there was a class that you did where you assigned a color to your feeling
mhm.
and you almost had it in a chart.
Yes, I have it right. I have a couple of them. I have one up there and I have another one over here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I'm glad that I remembered correctly. I'm quite interested to know is that documenting of whether it's feelings or processes or is documenting things a big part of your creative practice?
yes. Yes, I have tons and tons of binders behind me that I document, like, my feeling, color, things like that, what it means. That's definitely a huge part of my creative process.
Mm. Oh, could you tell us more? I'm so interested in finding out more about it.
I typically, so, like, with my color chart that you saw, I will do that regularly, so it changes a lot because, again, the season or whatever that I'm in, or even the day, I may just do a quick color chart, like, how am I feeling today? And then, color can respond to like, you can respond to color differently on a specific day than maybe the day before, that kinda thing. So I do a lot of that checking in. And then when I do that, I have binders, with the clear folders. I put that in the pages and save it because when I'm feeling a little lost, and I don't even really know how I'm feeling because we can have those days where you're like,
Yeah.
"I don't know what's going on."
Mm.
I can go back to those, color, swatching and different things like that, and it'll start to make me think a little bit more because sometimes we can become a little numb to how we're feeling, and, because there's so much going on around us that we're overwhelmed or overstimulated or whatever it might be, and we can't even pinpoint how we feel and what we would want to create, or at least what I would want to create, that when I can pull that binder out and I can start looking at and I can go, "Oh, yeah, okay. Now, yeah, oh, yeah." And then or a certain word that I've written in the past, I could be like, "Well, that's exactly how I feel." So,
Mm.
I save all of that. I have binders and binders and binders of different things, different little collage things that I put together that meant something specific or went with a word that I was really feeling at the time. I save it, all my color palettes, all my color swatching, just binders and binders and binders of it.
Oh,
But
I love
but
it.
it's so valuable because,
Mm.
we're not, creative, like, on fire inspired 100% of the time. And sometimes when I need to create a project, and I don't know how to start, it's just a place where I can just sit down. I'm not having to think about a project or do anything yet except just kind of flip the pages and start thinking, start reconnecting with myself.
Mm.
we're giving away to everybody. We're taking care of all these things and people and all that kind of thing. And when I can sit down and kind of flip through those pages, I can be like, oh, there I am. There I am. Okay. And then I can kind of move forward and document more or create a journal page or create something even bigger. So it is so incredibly valuable. In fact, I just had to put them all away because I had them stacked up back here and I didn't want it to be too messy.
Oh, I love that phrase, there I am. I think, especially since we're focusing so much on seasons and life, life gets crazy sometimes. Sometimes we're in a season of looking after young children. Sometimes we're in the teenage phase, and that's a whole other story. Other times we might have parents that are growing older or need
Mhm.
assistance. So there's there's very limited windows of time where it can be just for ourselves. So having something where, as you say, you can just rekindle that connection to yourself and say, well, there I am on the page. I can see exactly who I am and what I love and what's inspiring me. I think that's really, really valuable.
Absolutely. And, I've created things where I'm like, I'm not in this at all.
Mm,
There's, you know, I was doing to do
mm, mm,
because it's what I was supposed to do. And I can walk away from it and think, well, I didn't allow myself on that page or that piece at all. I didn't connect at all with me or who I am. I just was. And not that that's a bad thing, but I can
mm,
tell when it's truly me. I
mm,
can feel it. And sometimes we just show up and do whatever, and that's okay. And sometimes that's needed for practice or whatever it might be. But there's truly, for me anyway, there's truly a difference when I'm like, okay, that was authentic. That
mm.
was real. I was in touch with what was going on for me that day. And I can see it.
Oh,
And
oh,
I
yes.
think we talked about that earlier when we look at someone's art and it's really them and they've really connected. You can see it. Yeah.
Mm.
Feel it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So those pages that are almost like when you on autopilot, maybe. I don't know how to
Yes.
explain, but I know exactly what you're saying. I view them as empty calories. So
Yes.
like sometimes you really just need that chocolate.
Yes.
It's not gonna do anything for you, but you just need the chocolate. That
Yes.
so there are times where those pages are all that I want to do. Like maybe I just want to fill a square with marks that mean absolutely nothing. I can just mindlessly sit and just do the same mark over and over, right?
Yeah.
But I just need it. Right then, I just
Yeah.
need it. But then there are those
That's
others.
a great analogy, empty calories. I love that. I love it.
Then there are those pages that go deeper, right? That's that deep
Yes.
nourishing that
Mhm.
that is those are the authentic ones, the ones
Yeah.
that are really connecting to you.
And even
Mm,
those pages where we're just sitting down and doing the empty calories, um, that it's nothing creative wise is wasted. Nothing.
absolutely.
And we may do one tiny little thing on that nothing page and be like, oh, why have I never done that before? Or, whatever it might be.
Mm,
Um, it all serves us.
mm,
Whether it's really truly emotionally us or whether it's just, I need an escape right now and I don't want to think about a single thing. It all serves us. And so, yeah, empty calories are still
mm.
okay.
They are, right? Sometimes it's been a really long day and you just need that comfort food.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, good. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to chat about was how, since, we keep coming back to these seasons, right? Have you got any tips for people that are maybe in a season where they're feeling as though they're maybe not connected to the art as they would like to be, or they're not creating the art that they would like to be creating? Have you got tips for them to be able to find their way back to their creativity?
Well, I think I always start with, so if they're feeling not connected, I always start with how how are you? How are you feeling right now? Because if they're not connected, it could be because it's a really difficult time right now, and they don't necessarily have the space to even think about,
Mm.
uh, what my art style or what I'm supposed to be creating. So, it starts with just, like, a small, simple thing of saying, "Okay, how am I feeling right now?" And if it's, "I feel joy," then then it goes back to, like, that color chart. I will bring out a piece of paper, and I'll be like, "Okay, well, what color does joy bring? What does it mean to me? Like, is it the flowers? Is it" I start asking myself the questions, "What does joy mean?" And sometimes I even will look it up. I'll get the dictionary, and sometime a word in there will be like, "Oh, that makes me think of violet," or it makes me think so it starts with, like, a question for yourself, and then it starts with another question and another question. So as long as you follow for me and how I teach my students is follow that thread of, okay, well, what is joy? Okay. Well, what does joy mean to me? Well, what does joy look like to me? Okay, what color does joy what do I think of when I think about joy and color? And start going that way. And then for me, always, usually, and I'll start swatching color. And when you start getting your hands in some paint, usually, not always, but usually for me, I start getting ideas. And then once we kind of establish what we're feeling and where we are and that kind of thing, and you're wanting to establish a style or, you know, like, what do I create? Okay, what do I create? Um, and you just don't have any ideas. I will go through magazines. In fact, I'm teaching a class right now where we go through magazines and we look at, say, the cover of the magazine and the colors that are on the cover, because they specifically design the colors on the cover of a magazine to be really pleasing. So we look at colors, we look at, different things like that. So go to magazines or go to Pinterest and take a look at don't question yourself about what makes you stop and look at something. Because like I pulled out a page in a magazine that had food on it, but it was the most gorgeous colored food I'd ever seen. And I didn't question myself because it stopped me, and then I started
Mm.
asking myself questions again. Okay, what is it about this page? It's the color, it's violet. Oh, violet. Violet is my joy word. Oh, okay, so that reinforces something within me. So we kinda go on this search, and it all starts kinda coming back to, where am I today? What am I feeling today? And then how do I expand that? And then if you see pieces of art that are really interesting, then you kinda take a look at it and you ask yourself again, why? Is it the flowers? Is it the landscape? Is it what is it? And then the colors that you've kind of been discovering with how you feel, then you can kind of push some of those things together to start dabbling in maybe some violet, joyful flowers or landscape or whatever it might be, but just like one little kernel at a time of
Mm.
that asking yourself those questions and documenting that. I think it's really important to document that journey of, "Okay, how do I feel today?" And I will write it down. I feel awful today, or I feel frustrated, or I feel whatever it might be. I'll write, and even in there, they'll be like, I'm excited for something today. And so through those things, I can start taking a look at, okay, what colors will that represent? If I'm feeling really joyful, what color? And I document all of that. And then I swatch it out in
Mm.
along with that. And then I look at the magazine pages and I'll cut them out and I'll put them along in this weird little page that I've created. In fact, I have one right
Oh,
here.
let's see. Oh, wow.
So remember the food? So I was stopped
Mm.
by this, and then I started bringing other colors together, and then I haven't written everything. I have my other part written down, but this is kind of where I start if I'm looking for inspiration. And
Mm.
so, there's a plate of like ochre on there or something. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Um, don't question why you're stopped or inspired or you love something. Just capture it and then
Mm.
kind of go on this kernel, journey of finding little kernels of why. I don't know if that
Oh,
answered your question.
yes, I love it. I absolutely love it. What it's making me think of is that your process is, first of all, very gentle, right? You've got a very gentle approach with how you are sort of coaxing out that creativity very naturally. But it makes me think of kindling and how you use that to start just little sparks. You're just following little sparks. And then you let it turn into this raging creative fire all on
Yeah.
its own. You're not pushing, you're not forcing, you're just naturally gathering up all the little sparks and gently giving it a blow and then just letting the fire go. It's so beautiful to hear you talking about your process.
That is a great analogy. I love that. I may use that.
Mm.
A little kindling on creating this fire. I
Yes.
love that.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly right.
that's just what came to mind as you were talking. It's just that's how I'm visualizing your whole process. It's just such a natural, gentle way of being able to create without putting any pressure on yourself to have to make this
Mhm.
into something.
Yeah.
Mm.
And, I will say too that a lot of times as I start, asking myself how I'm feeling, I may not like if I'm sitting down and okay, I'm going to write out how I'm feeling. I may not have the words right then. But as I go through my day, it's kind of back here in my head.
Mm.
And then something will happen or a song or whatever it might be. And all of a sudden it's like, I know exactly how I'm
Mm.
feeling. And then I come back and I write that down. So sometimes it's not always immediate, but
Mm.
if I have it there in my brain and it's there, I've asked myself and I'm not really sure throughout the day, it will come. It usually comes. And I just let that happen as well. So um, I'm ready for it. It's like, okay, all right, now I know. Yeah.
I love that. Yes, and I think I'm interested to know, have you got a written journaling component that goes with this documenting?
Yes. Yeah. I have hundreds of journals, hundreds. It's ridiculous. My husband's like, please, what is going on in there? I'm like, babe, this is my safe space in here. So, shh. But yeah, I write every day. Um, sometimes twice a day. It just depends on what kind of day it was. um, but I start out with I usually am finding I will find a quote, or I have Morgan Harper Nichols' app on my phone, and
Oh.
she's amazing. She's
Mm.
absolutely amazing. So she sends me a little thing in the morning, and it's like a quote and then a journal prompt, and she asks you questions. And so a lot of times I'm just following that. A lot of times I've heard a quote or something like that um, in maybe a magazine or something. And I kind of go down that rabbit hole of like looking for the quote, looking for what it means. And I'll start my journaling that way. But I journal every day. And like, so for that page that I showed you, I will put that back in my binder. And then on the flip side, I will write out like
Mm.
all the things that I was thinking or what was happening or how I was feeling, that kind of thing. So, yeah, lots and lots of writing. It keeps us sane.
Mm. Yes. I was just going to say, I think um, there are a lot of people that sort of stick to the visual side, but I think adding a written component to your documenting and to your creative practice definitely allows you to go deeper faster.
Mhm. Yes.
Mm.
9 times out of 10, when I have when I start my journaling and I'm maybe looking at a quote or like Morgan Harper Nichols stuff or whatever it might be, um, in that, as I'm writing, something happens where I'm like, "Oh, that would," like, I can see, like, "Oh, that could be a flower, and I could do this." It usually always, not always, but I would say every other time or something like that, I have these little bits of like, "Oh, that quote, and then what I wrote, oh, so good. Maybe I should think about how I can translate that into something." So it's so vital for my creativity and just the documentation of life,
Mm.
of I mean, I have I was looking in a box the other day, and I have a journal from when I was 19,
Oh, wow.
and, I'm reading through it, and I'm like, "Oh, girl, we need to talk." But, it's just a document of my life and
Mm,
how how you grow, what you
mm,
go through, and then being able to take that and, translate it into something where you can really express, yourself. It's again, it's a gift.
mm.
It's really
Yes,
a
I
gift.
love that. It is a gift, yeah. And I think it's also a way to be able to find your creative voice in the sense that you might be using someone else's quote or someone else's journal prompt as your starting off point. But as you're writing, it's your words and your voice that are coming through. And so you can then take those and put them into the page. So
Absolutely.
a lot of times we'll say quote by and then blah blah blah, whoever the quote is. But if you've got this written part of your creative practice, the quote is from you, right? It's those are
Mhm.
your words.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think I know when I first really began creating, words were always a part of what I created, always.
Mm,
Because that's how like we've talked, that's how I establish, what I want to create, identifying how I'm feeling and those kinds of things, and then quotes or
mm,
whatever. As I've grown and kind of evolved, I'm putting less and less like visible words,
mm,
but more and more of this kind of subtle, uh, quiet noise in my work that will represent my word, but not so much the word
mm.
exactly. And it allows people to kind of get their own word for the work of art
Yes.
that they see. Yeah.
Open to interpretation, right? Have their
Ex
own expressions put onto the work.
Yes,
Mm.
absolutely.
So, have you developed a visual language over time? Sort of got elements that you like to include in your work that mean specific things to you?
I do. I always have paper. Um, and I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, why do I always I mean, I am surrounded by paper, vintage books, vintage regular like any kind of paper, gel prints, anything. And I was thinking about what is the thing? Like, because somebody asked me, what's the one supply that you couldn't live without? Which is a terrible question to ask an artist. I'm like, no, no, not that one. No. Um, but I thought would be paper.
Mm,
And I was thinking back because it has been, from a kid. We didn't have a lot of money, so I would go through the magazines and cut out and
mm,
make a house and make I'd cut out the model and I'd make the model, and that would be my, imagination destination kind of thing. So as far back as I can remember, it's always been paper. So paper is always a part of what I create.
mm.
Um, and then I'm trying to think what else it would be. Probably I don't know, I'm, like, looking around thinking, "What is it?" Texture. But I like texture. It comes with the paper though, but I like creating extra texture. Um, probably pattern. I don't know,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
definitely
That's interesting because I was going to say color.
it is, and most of it is color, but I have a few pieces, that are not I go back and forth because I go through this kind of gray period where it's really kind of grungy gray, and then you can definitely tell how I'm feeling by what's going on in my art. But most of the time, it's definitely color. Everything else around me is all color right now. So,
Yeah, because I think even though it might go through those gray, grungy periods, it's still color, right? There's still, as you say, you can look at it and say, well, this is obviously going on right now, just through the color choices that you make. So they might not be vibrant colors, but they are definitely colors connected to
yeah,
what you're going
yeah,
through or what you're
yeah, that's
feeling.
true. That's true.
Mm.
Yeah, lots of color.
Okay, so yes. So my question that obviously I'm going to be asking you, I love hearing everyone's answer, is if you could choose only one color to work with for the rest of your art career, what would it be and why?
I thought
Kind of
about
like the
that.
art supply choice.
I know, that's a terrible question to ask. Um, right now, it would be magenta.
Good. That's a
It
good
could
one.
change,
Yes.
next
It
week,
could change
but
tomorrow. It could change later
exactly,
today even.
exactly. Right now, magenta. Everything I have and I'm working on and all that kind of stuff, it's all magenta. So,
Oh, and is there if there's a meaning that you don't want to tell us, that's totally fine. But is there something that you've connected to it that you feel you want to express or bring out more of in your art?
f d with regards to the magenta color? Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
magenta and red, from the very beginning, and my very first works of art, I identified them as passion.
Oh,
Like, just going for it, I'm gonna do this kind of passion, and, I think that's why magenta has continued to stay through my work because and it's shifted and changed in kind of hues of
mm.
color, but passion, and, that's truly what drove me to be able to be where I'm at today, and so, yeah, passion.
Oh, I love that. That is so good. It's quite interesting to be able to talk about color because it's another one of those elements that's so personal because yellow to one person could mean something completely different to someone else. So I always find it fascinating to hear what meanings others have given colors in their creative life.
Yeah. With some of my students, because we do a, color identification, like, what does it mean for you? And it's always completely different for everyone. And I love that.
Yeah.
Because we have established some kind of color for some, like the color of the ocean may be passion for you, or whatever it might be. And that's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah. It's really interesting how I think you could do a whole exploration. You could spend the rest of your creative life just exploring colors and their meanings and how combining them with other colors changes their meanings. It's such a deep and fascinating part of creativity.
It is. It really is, and I've watched several artists on, like, YouTube or whatever that do, like, a deep dive into color, and as the and, they're older, so you have seasons of their work that they've shared, and they
Mm.
talk about the color and what it meant for them at the time, and it's fascinating to me. I love it. I love
Yes.
watching them identify like, their seasons of life, seeing it, like, firsthand. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I think, wouldn't it be fantastic if you had a book where you had all these documenting, the pages that you've documented in your folders, and you publish that, I think that would be fantastic.
Oh my gosh. That would be I would love to see I don't like thinking of publishing my own makes me a little nervous, but,
Oh,
um, seeing somebody else's, that would be great.
no, no, release the fear in
That's right,
2025 and
release.
publish a
That's
book
right.
for us.
That's right. That's
Release a
right.
book. How about you release a book?
There we go. I've thought about a book, but the thought
Oh,
scares
I
me to
think,
death.
yeah, but sometimes we need to do those scary things because I
That's
know
true.
I would love to see that book because it would be so fascinating to be able to follow your journey and the discoveries that you've made and just seeing, the different ways that you have put your color swatches together. It's always fascinating seeing people's documenting.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah.
I love I love watching videos where people talk about how they've documented or how they've decided to do, how they put their charts together or whatever it is. I think it's fascinating.
Yes, there's an artist, David Mencken, and he does, lands ocean abstracts, landscapes, that kind of thing, and he has a fascinating process of how he, gets the color and gets these
Mm.
random shapes from nature. And he actually, you know what? He actually did publish a book with some of his, and I actually have it, but it was really awesome. So you were right. Maybe I'll have to put a book out.
Yay! Every time you need a cheerleader, just send me an email and
Okay.
I'll send you a little video cheering you on to say you can do it.
Okay. I will do that.
Oh, I think it would be fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's scary. I know it's scary for you, right? But it's exciting for me to think about what that book would be like. It would be fantastic.
Hmm. Now you got
Mhm.
me thinking. Oh boy, here we go.
Release has taken on a whole new
I
meaning.
I know. Oh Lord.
I'm sure if you ask,
I'm supposed to be letting things go, but
yeah,
maybe
like,
I let
yeah.
things go so that I can have other things come in.
Yes, yes. I'm sure if you asked your husband, he would be 100% in.
He'd probably be like, "Oh Lord, honey, what now what?" I'm like, "Babe, I have an idea." He's always like, "No, no, no, no more ideas. No."
Oh, no. Oh, that's funny. Especially, yeah, I think that they have to just put up with it, right? But they go along for the ride too, and they enjoy it. In the end,
Yeah,
they enjoy having us there because we keep things fresh and exciting for them.
that's true. It's interesting. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Absolutely. So, have you got a specific type of medium that you like to work in, as in paints, pencils, acrylics, watercolors? Are there different mediums that have got different ways that you help you express your feeling?
Um, acrylics always, that's a given. Soft pastels are another medium for me that I love because it's so versatile. I can
Mm,
wet it down and I can smush it. I can put matte medium in it and I can make it permanent. It gives me that kind of scratchy feel when I want it. So acrylic and soft pastels are probably soft pastel pencils too, kind of the same thing. Probably are the thing that I use the most, and then I'll venture out into little random things. I've been experimenting with watercolor, and it doesn't inspire me as much as I would like it to.
mm,
So I keep going back and trying it because I see other people doing it. It's so beautiful. But because I always start with paper as my
mm,
first layer, um, the watercolor has a different effect because it's now on a non-porous surface. So just I'm trying to figure out a way to make it happen and work it in, but just keep experimenting. So
yeah.
paper, acrylic, soft pastels are pretty much all the time.
Yeah, it's hard when you want to love something and it's just the relationship's just not working.
No, I've tried and tried. It's so beautiful. And I will use watercolor when I'm just sitting down and I need like a nothing thing to do. It's easy. There's no brush cleanup. I don't have to do anything. I will use watercolor for that. And I have a watercolor journal that I will bring out and just kind of swatch and play and that kind of thing. But introducing it into my work has been clunky at best, I would say.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially with the watercolors when you're using other mediums it tends to almost dissolve because
Mhm.
of what's happening around it and after it. And yeah, it is
Yeah.
difficult. It's complicated to add it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. And the
Mm,
beauty of the watercolor really is wonderful on raw paper, and it
mm,
blooms and it does all of the wonderful things, and it just doesn't do all of those wonderful things when it's layered on top of a whole lot of other
mm.
things. So
Yeah, that's true. And I'm interested to know if the mediums that you're using have got feelings too, as colors would have. So, because you were saying like the scratchiness of the soft pastel,
mhm.
so it immediately made me wonder: are there other mediums that you use that have got? It's also a way of sort of putting an emotion back in, almost, or a feeling back into your work through the mediums that you're
Possibly.
choosing.
Yeah, possibly, and I think that's one of the reasons why I always start with paper is
Mm,
because the paper starts the story. So I have gone on this journey of how I'm feeling or what I want to express or a quote or whatever it might be, and then I go to my papers, and there'll be something in the paper that starts that journey. And then, of course, the acrylic, the color will, continue to tell that story. The texture of the paper continues to tell that story because I can crunch it or smooth it or whatever it might be to convey whatever I'm trying to convey. And then
mm,
the soft pastels, it's like another layer of depth to the story. Um, and so I guess I've never really thought about each of those layers having feelings or emotions, but yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
mm.
Uh, yeah, the soft pastels do have this kind of push and pull when you're using it. You can smooth it and you can make it real scratchy. So yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Oh, and I love that the paper starts the story. That's beautiful.
It's so easy to, get creating for me this way is because I don't have to put out any paint yet. I don't have to do anything. I'm just thumbing through papers. And what does it is there something in there that might tell the story of this thing that I'm feeling today? And then I just continue to pull and pull and pull, usually too many papers, because I love them. And then it just continues to add, I think you said kernels to
Mm,
the process of creating that project. So I
mm.
pull the paper, it's telling the story. And then I look at the color and it's telling the story. And then, so on and so on.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love the way you talk about your process. It's what it comes across like it's a friend to you, it's just so beautiful.
It is a friend to me because like with all of the journal pages and journal everything, all of the stacks of things, it is um who I am and documenting where I'm
Mm.
at. So it's definitely a friend.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for having spent some time talking to us about your process and just inspiring us to reach for deeper meaning in our work. It has been such a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to call you and have you encourage me when I decide to do my book.
I'll be there. I will be there cheering you every step of the way.
Thank you so much, Claudette.